Despite the Ioniq's wind-cheating Kamm-back profile, the styling is far more conservative than that of the polarizing Prius. The Ioniq Hybrid is similarly straightforward inside, with a horizontally oriented dashboard, a sprinkling of bright trim, and plenty of soft touch materials, in this case derived from sugarcane. The shift lever is a traditional PRND affair rather than something like the Prius's oddball stalk, and the instrument cluster has a simple analog look, with a round speedometer flanked by an eco-driving gauge on the left and a battery state of charge meter on the right. You can call up a small power source graphic and a few other efficiency tallies on the touchscreen, but you won't need Starfleet Academy accreditation to operate anything. With the transmission in drive and a light foot on the gas, the Ioniq takes off gently from a standing start propelled by electric power alone. The inline-4 engine generally won't start pitching in until about 20 or 25 miles per hour. You hear shifts from the 6-speed automatic but don't necessarily feel them, as the motor system has a damping effect. In drive, upshifts happen quite early and any quick prod of the accelerator is met with a momentary delay before the additional thrust arrives. Sliding the shift lever to the left engages sport mode, which makes throttle tip end far more aggressive, changes the shift points, and lets the engine rev a lot higher in general. Sport mode quickens the response of the accelerator but keeps the gasoline engine on whenever the car is moving, at the expense of fuel economy. The Ioniq's hybrid powertrain suffers a few drivability quirks. Under a very light throttle, when parking, for instance, there's an uncomfortably long pause before power arrives, and on an incline the Ioniq will sometimes roll backward in the meantime. But we couldn't replicate the low-speed bucking and rolling stop uncertainties we noticed in the closely related Nero, perhaps an indication that Hyundai has further refined this system. The biggest drivability disappointment with the Ioniq Hybrid is a complete lack of regenerative braking when coasting. There is little or no engine braking, and the Hyundai doesn't have anything like the Prius's selectable B braking mode. Manually downshifting to the lowest available gear in the Sport gate only revs the engine higher without providing regenerative braking. Riding the brake pedal and decelerating via the cruise control were the only workarounds we could find. On the other hand, we're impressed at how unobtrusively the gasoline engine goes in and out of the mix. We saw the engine turn off for the better part of a minute while going more than 70 miles per hour on a long, gentle downhill grade, then rejoin the effort with no perceptible vibration when the road leveled. The powertrain is set up for coasting, and the Ioniq's navigation system even includes a feature incorporating GPS data, advising the driver when to lift off the accelerator for freeway off-ramps, for instance. Achieving the Ioniq's goal to also beat the Prius dynamically would have been a cinch against the previous, third-generation Toyota model. However, the redesigned suspension in the current fourth-generation version of the Prius makes it somewhat more athletic when the road twists and turns. The Ioniq plays on the same field, though, meaning it doesn't necessarily make any wrong moves but isn't all that inspiring. Shifting to sport mode also changes the steering parameters slightly, adding more off-center effort. One key difference in the Ioniq's favor, the sounds that emanate from the engine compartment. Open the windows under full throttle acceleration and the Ioniq, well, it may not sound like a sports car, but it doesn't sound like a Prius either.